Okay, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're coming in from. This is Vanessa Donaldson, the Reset Coach. I'm a life coach for digital nomads and also for military spouses. So today we are talking about the van life, fun topic. We are going to be having a spotlight conversation with Maria, who's chiming in from Miami, Florida area. And we're just going to explore and talk about what her van life journey was. So, can you hear my little song playing in the background?
I cannot hear a song. Oh, now I
Okay.
can.
It's our little Winnebago song. We
Yeah.
used to play this. It says, "We're on our way in a Winnebago." So the van life, it's about relaxing, it's about taking your time, getting places, adventure, all that stuff. So yeah, without further ado, let me stop the music. And Maria, welcome. So
Thank you.
Maria and I met camping somewhere in Florida. So do you remember how we met?
Jonathan Dickinson.
Oh my gosh, you're so good with your memory. Okay, yeah. So Jonathan Dickinson
State Park.
State Park. There's a lot of state parks in Florida. So we were just, I think, was it the boys or my husband came to your camper? Set up the scene again.
Well, my husband was grilling some hamburgers, and Russ came over to say if he was invited because it smelled really good, and he had lollipop in tow. So my husband started to talk to him, and then we invited you guys later to watch a movie outside, and we had a movie night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we remember the movie night because, it was so fun. We're in the middle of a campground and a couple says, "Hey, you want to join us for a movie?" He comes over and says, "I met this really cool couple and they're setting up a projector and stuff." I said, "A projector? I don't get it." It's like, "Yeah, they're gonna watch outside their house or their house, their little camper, and they're doing a movie night. And there's popcorn too." So yeah, so that's how we connected. We brought our recliner chairs over and
Yes.
they had the big screen and we sat there and they're so techie. Her and her husband, they were running around snapping stuff up and doing stuff with the projector. Russ and I are sitting there like, we need to get it more together. So that's how we connected. So going back before our connection, Maria, so where did your camping journey start? Have you always been a camper or was it something that got introduced to you later in life?
Well, as so many things change with all of us, COVID was really the reason why we got into camping. We have two sons that live in San Diego, and as 2020 approached its end, I had not seen my sons for a couple of years, so we had intended that year to fly over to San Diego. And when everything happened and everything got shut down towards the end of the year, I told my husband, I'm not going to spend God knows how many years waiting for COVID to clear. So I started researching. I'm a big Google girl. I Google everything. So I got into Google and started to see the different options. And my husband and I had never camped, never been in an RV ever. So when you are motivated, it overcomes fear. So we just went about it as work and research and looked at models and went to some RV dealers. And by sheer coincidence, we were driving to Cocoa Beach. And on the way, we see this big Ferris wheel, and it was a new dealer that was just opening. We just zoom out of the expressway and took the opportunity to browse what they had. And we had seen so many different models and types, and we never quite found one that we said, "Oh yeah, that one."
Like a house, right? You kind of keep
Yes,
looking, and then how do you find that one? What was
right.
different about this,
So
about that one?
what was different was that even though it was small, because we were certainly looking for something small, but not very small, we knew we wanted a bathroom in there. So this one in particular, the whole back of it is windows. So where it has the little dinette, all of it around it has windows. So it just made it look so much bigger. And, you know, it was very modern inside because some of the used older models look, you know, dated with the upholstery and the wallpaper and all of that. So this one looked very modern, and it had a full bathroom with shower and toilet. It had a queen size bed. So it was like all our wish list was there. So, you know, we bought the RV in October, and we parked one time in TY Park in Hollywood. And with that grand experience, we embarked on a journey from Florida to California.
Oh, okay. So when you said you just came from there, I didn't realize with the camper. So you did a whole cross country just like I just did or my husband and I from Florida to California to see
We
your sons.
did. We did. In 2020, we got on that. We bought a 20-foot travel trailer. We had to upgrade our truck because the truck that we had wasn't powerful enough. So we upgraded our truck as well. And, you know, through research, we found Harvest Host, KOA, Boondockers Welcome. So as a new RVer, you just research and find different resources and associations. We found also a camping group in Facebook, and you start, you know, reading the post and what people are going through and their problems and difficulties, and you learn, you know, but nothing like going on the road, because that's where you really, really learn. We learn from our mistakes, like GPS times are not accurate because you're not going at the pace that the GPS expects you to go. So I was late arriving to every reservation that I made from here to California. You learn that the refrigerator can pop open. So in one of our stops, we go inside, I open the camper door, and there were eggs spread all over the floor, the kitchen, the walls. The refrigerator had opened and eggs went flying. So we had omelets all over.
We had that too. And if you have dogs in the van, that helps because they lick up a lot of messes when stuff flies out. They love when the fridge door opens up because they're like, hey, what's on the floor? What's our next snack? That is so true.
So we did learn that we had to really secure that refrigerator, that we really had to add time to the GPS estimates. And but, you know, to tell you the truth, even though we had no experience, we had a wonderful adventure going from Florida to California, and coming back. It was wonderful. It was scary. I'm not gonna lie. It was a whole new thing for us. So, you know, you have to learn how to connect this, and the electric and the water and the sewer. And is there a sewer or not a sewer? Where do you dump? And, you know, all those things that you learn little by little, and then you become more comfortable with. But I think our biggest lesson, aside from how much we loved it, being that neither Armando nor I had camping in our youth or in our experience, we loved it so much. We come from Puerto Rico, and it was just that our families were never into really camping. So, but we learned that we loved it so much. But we also learn that you have to pay attention to the weather, which we did not do too much. And we got hit with a snowstorm coming back from California as we were passing through Texas.
Oh my gosh.
This was 2020 to 2021. There was this big snowstorm on New Year's Eve on the 31st. We were going from one part of Texas to San Antonio. And when we woke up in the morning, there were like 6 inches of snow. And we don't have experience driving in snow, much less with a trailer. So that was very scary. So we learned we now do not go anywhere where we have not researched and look at the forecast and the weather, because it's very dangerous. You can get into big trouble with floods and
Mhm.
rain and tropical weather if you're not familiar with the area and you're not familiar with the weather. So that was the biggest lesson in regards to RV life that we learned, is that you really have to pay good attention to the weather. But
Mm.
other than that, we had so much fun going from place to place and exploring the different towns. We learned to research, not to arrive to a place without knowing about it. So I would take the time in while traveling, my husband will be driving and I will be on my computer or on my phone, again, Googling about the town that we were going to, what is there to see, what are places that I want to visit there, points of interest. So when we arrived, we had kind of like a plan. Okay, tomorrow we want to go over here, do this, go to this farmer's market, visit this, point of attraction. So you can maximize, the time that you have in each place.
That's so true because you're kind of just passing through, wandering too. So it's like we want to soak up all of the highlights from that place. So when you leave, like, yeah, we did most of it. We saw everything that we need to here. We can check it off and keep going.
Yeah,
And if you're there for a few days, you can have that luxury. I know, like with Harvest Host, there's certain spots where you can only stay one night
one
and then you're
night.
moving on. It's a little more draining, huh? When you have to every night move. So it's nice when you get to a spot where, like a state park or boondocking, someone's driveway, but it could be a farm somewhere with, land and you're just on their property. That we did that in Arcadia actually at one point when we had another flood. We ended up at a boondocking driveway spot in Arcadia, and people were like, "What?" We were looking at the weather; it's going to flood there even more, And Lily knows about Arcadia floods because she has a house there that had it in the middle of that. So yeah, but we ended up in a driveway. Now boondockers welcome and harvest hosts have merged. Did you realize now
Right.
it's
Yes.
together? So yeah, I think they're all under Harvest Host now. But yeah, what you say about the weather is so true. And when something's always going on in Texas. So you just have to watch out. Texas is
Yeah.
like an anomaly. We used to live there. I survived Hurricane Katrina with two kids there in Texas when my husband was out of town doing some kind of Marine Corps training. So that was scary. And we were driving cross country too once, and a hailstorm out of nowhere in Texas. So what did he do? He just pulled us under like a bridge. We happened to be approaching this massive bridge with a covering, and where he's like, "We're just gonna stay here at the
Yeah.
bridge until this hail passes." Because I have another friend camper, a sorority sister from college. She ended up, it was her airstream was totaled
Oh,
because of hail,
yeah.
not in Texas, somewhere else, but the hail actually dented up her airstream so much, so
Wow.
violently that it was declared a total. Yeah.
Yes, we had 100 miles of sheer terror driving through that snowstorm, because of course we didn't plan for it. When we woke up and we saw the snow, we asked the office if we could stay where we were for an extra night, but unfortunately they were fully booked. So,
Mm.
like anything else in life, my husband and I have a very, kind of chill approach. Is like, okay, let's not panic, one step at a time. So the first step was, can we get out of the RV park? Because I was afraid our wheels were going to just turn and because of the snow. So we, little by little, we connected everything, we hooked up everything, and we just went slowly, got out of our spot, got out of the RV park. And then, it's like, okay, let's look at the streets. Can we get into the highway? Is the highway clear? We could see from a distance that they had clear one lane. So little by little, very slowly, because I was afraid of like swerving or, of ice
Mhm.
and all of that. So we just took it
Mm.
little by little. We saw several accidents, thankfully, on the other lane, going in the other direction. In our direction, thankfully, it was very slow going, but there were no accidents. And, we always try to convince ourselves of, we're okay. what is the worst that can happen? That we get stuck in a car, traffic. We have a house behind us with food and everything that we need. So let's relax, take it easy, step by step. And little by little, I mean, it took several hours from us to go from West Texas to San Antonio, where we were going. But we made it. Our knuckles were white with terror. My husband was like holding on to that steering wheel for dear life, but we made it. And so you just have to keep your calm and just make a plan. How are you going to tackle? Because with camping, like so many things in life, there's always an element of unpredictability of things that can happen. So you just have to be prepared and not panic. And
be
but know your
prepared
resources.
know your resources and be prepared for the unpredictability, which doesn't go together, but be prepared to not be prepared. So
yes, of course. And we thought about that. My husband is a mechanic, so he always has a variety of tools in the RV, because you never know if a branch is going to fall on top of you, or if your canopy is going to get stuck, or something is going to happen. So you have to carry your tools, and duct tape. Never leave home without it.
Yes, yes. But we've had friends that get new campers, friends or family, and that's usually a gift I put in their little bin
Yes.
to take with them, the
Yes.
duct tape. It's your friend.
It is. We also have a telescopic ladder, because you never know when there's a branch or something. And we originally had this little tiny, like 3-step ladder, and one time we needed to get up high, and we learned no. So we found one that closes very small, but it's telescopic. You can open it when you need it. Like so many
Yes.
things with RVs, you find those things that shrink, Tupperware that you can flatten out, pots and pans that can stack inside of each other. It's always about the space. So there are many, many things out there in Amazon. And if you research, there's so many things that you can buy that are compactable, that you can carry with you. Of course, first aid supplies, first aid kits are so important. Things to patch off tires and things of that nature. So yeah, we always think about those things. We never thought about the snow, but we thought about many other things.
Yeah, and you can't control the weather, right? So that's
Right.
just an element of traveling. So true what you're sharing. With my husband, retired Marine, he has his toolbox too. I mean, they're pretty hyper vigilant and always prepare for the worst case scenario. And I'm the dreamer, the happy go lucky. Come on, let's just do it. So it helps to have that balance, so that we could. I bring the fun element, and then he's got the more serious and like, okay, let me check everything. So I can't imagine all the tools he pulls out. There's stuff that he pulls out sometimes. I'm like, you have that in the toolbox in the back, and it's just the little screw and the little piece that we need to fix something, So, and the telescopic ladder, we haven't added that, but that's a good tip. We did help people board up their windows during Hurricane Ian in Florida. And the one house we went to did not have one. And I was holding the ladder with my husband, climbing it. And it's one of the number one injuries for, I think, men over 50, falling off a ladder, trying to work around the house, thinking they're like 20 years old again. And I was just like, this is not, my intuition tells me this is not good. But he survived that part. It got a little shaky at points. And then somebody else came over to help board up some more windows. A nice guy, like a plumber, just saw us struggling. It was like, here, do you want to use my ladder? And that's when we saw the telescope. We said, what is this thing? And the whole thing just snapped up and down. And we're like, okay, this is important. So we ran into
pretty neat.
We ran into one guy, the guy that we boondock with in his property in Arcadia, and he showed us a saw that he takes. It's kind of compact, and I'm thinking, like, come on, like, how much more junk are we going to put in this van? But he said the saw saved their life too, because they were camping and ended up with trees that completely shut down a road. Like, it just covered the road, huge storm, and nobody could move, nobody could get anywhere. And he pulled out his little saw and starts just sawing away the trees and parting the lane till they, they could drive. I think they opened it up for all kinds of other cars that were traveling through. So
Yes.
I'm like, after that story, I'm like, honey, put a saw in the back. No.
Yeah, little by little, you make your own collection of useful tools, and you might not use them in years, but then that one time that you really need it, you have your tools there, and they're very important. But like you say, preparation is important, and my husband is the same. I'm the one that is always, come on, let's do it, and he's the preparer. But you cannot forget the fun, like you say. We have found no feeling at all like the feeling of coming out of your RV in the morning with a cup of coffee and sitting down in front of your RV and taking it all in. Bird songs, noises, looking at other campers, saying hello to campers that pass by, learning where they're from. Walking around, kayaking, exploring. It's a feeling like no other. It centers you. It fills your soul. It's undescribable. The sunsets and the sunrises that you get to see. Nothing like having a fire that you sit around at night on a campfire. So that part of it is you cannot get lost in the technicalities of hooking up and unhooking. You have to really take the time to soak it all in and keep those memories, because when you are at work like I am today, dealing with the stress of the things that you need to do, when I make my coffee in the morning and sit in my desk, all of a sudden I always recall, oh my God, when we were at Jonathan Dickinson State Park in the morning, having a cup of coffee, and those memories, calm you down and make you feel so good.
It's so true. That's, partly why I brought life coaching into my nature coaching. Like, it all goes together. It's from living
Yes.
8 months in the van, just like you, similar story. The pandemic hit and our boating ministry shut down overnight. We were living in California, and my husband was retired, and we had a ministry taking out injured veterans that had PTSD for ocean therapy. And it shut down overnight. So we ended up doing the camping life and just figuring it out as we go too. Just found a used Sprinter van and just went for it. But yeah, there's nothing once we got into nature, and my husband's always been more connected to nature than me. So I've learned that through living with him. We've been married 26 years, and I can see what always the nature and the outdoors does for him. And I'm more like admin. I could be at a computer for hours, whatever, but that's not healthy. So once we got into nature, I realized this element that we were missing, because we never grew up with it either. Never had parents that took us out into the woods like this. My mother, in Germany, we did some I remember a lot of hiking and going to like obstacle courses and places you play in the woods with sticks and stuff. So she was connected to nature like that. And she's the hiker in Germany. That's another session. She hikes the mountains in Bavaria. But yeah, when you get into nature and you research too, now that I'm a coach, researching the benefits of it, how it prevents or deals with anxiety issues, depression, sleep. There's people that have all these stresses, and we're a very medicated society, at least in the US. Everything is like, what's the pill for it? Just give me a pill. And nature's our pill. I always say meditation is your medication. That's one of my things, because I've been trained by Mind Valley, and I do meditation coaching, meditation based. I add prayer in there, and also breath work. And all that I wouldn't have learned if I didn't experience going into nature so much and boondocking. Not really just always lining up at a KOA or campsite where you're all stacked like sardines together, but really out in nature, like when you boondock. And I know Lily on screen here with her hubby Clayton, they like boondocking too. They've got a similar Sprinter van. So when you just get into that element where, people are spread out, or you don't even maybe see another car, like we angle ourselves. We were coming through Arizona. We went through like 3 different places, and my husband's like, I see too many campers, and they were all spread out between a tree. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to crawl up the mountain to not see them. But we try to angle it just so we have our own little private view of the sunrise, sunset, all that. And yeah, something about nature, it just like you said, the word slow down. I mean, I call myself the slow down coach too, and I seem to attract high performers that are like always go 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 go, and just so wrapped in their work and what they're doing that they forget to take care of themselves by just slowing down. And I love what you said, Maria, about how you can harvest those memories really. So you're sitting right now at work, you've got a meeting coming up, you've got things going on, but you can harvest those memories of when you were at the state park and all of the feelings that came along with that when you were there and recycle them, and repurpose them in your mind. And that's awesome that
Absolutely. I
you
do
found
that
a way.
often. Yes, I do that often. Actually, my funnest memory at Jonathan State Park, aside from meeting you and Russ, that was a lot of fun. I saw a bird carrying a full fish. It was flying by our RV and it had a whole fish that it
Mhm.
was carrying. And I had never seen that in my life. And I always tell that
Mm.
story. And just thinking about it makes me, want to smile that I saw this bird carrying this full fish.
Yes.
So there are so many things that yes, that you can retain and bring back and it helps you uh, bring you calm and helps you center and it makes you smile. I think when you smile, it's like an automatic, relaxation thing. If you can remember something that makes you smile, that made you happy,
Mhm.
it helps me a lot and in my daily life. I wish I could camp every weekend, but we can't. But the experiences that we've had, really in my memory, they are a treasure, really. Those
Mm.
experiences.
And there's a word for that in the coaching world. It's called creative visualization. So that's what you're doing. I walk people through creative visualizations in the forest and ocean because I have the boating life, so I can bring all the elements of the water too. And so that's creative visualization, and that's a technique for being grounded and centered. And that's wonderful that you've figured all that out like just in the last year. And isn't it amazing, or a year or two? The pandemic had so much negative that came out of it, but as a coach too, we're looking at what's the gift, what's the opportunity, and you found it. You found the gift. You found the opportunity to get out of your comfort zone and try something totally new and different, to the point where some people are like,
Absolutely.
are you crazy? You don't do
Yes.
that. That's crazy. And it's like, yeah, we all got to be a little crazy because,
Yeah, that was
we
our
got
whole
one life.
family. Yeah, that was my whole family. And we told them, yeah, we bought an RV and we're going to California. And they're like, what? What do you know about RVing? Absolutely nothing, but we are learning. And I think also the pandemic was so taxing mentally. I mean, physically, of course, so many people suffered, so many families lost loved ones, and that was so stressful. It was stressful at my job with everything that we had to do to survive. That by the time that we got to the end of that year, I think taking that trip really saved us mentally because Armando and I were both at a kind of like a breaking point with everything that we had gone through that year. And like any adventure, whether it's RVing or a trip or whatever, just the thinking about planning it and that you're going to do it, it was just such a mental savior for us that we had this fun thing that we were doing at the end of the year and we were going to figure it out even though our family was all stressing out about our well-being. But we texted, we Facebook, we did video conferencing along the way to make sure that they knew we were all okay. But mentally I think it was such a gift, like you say. It's such a gift that we had that trip and that we got introduced to the RV community because it was wonderful.
Hmm. Yeah, and with the military, we've done probably 3 or 4 cross-country trips, in a van, and not in a van, with just our cars, and like a Toyota once with our kids in car seats. Very different experience. We were doing
Yes.
moves, and we would drive cross country, and my husband could do it. I think he's done it in like 2 days, 2.5 days. I mean, just crazy, 12-hour driving and all that. But now, yeah, it's different. The RV life is about going slow, right? It's about you're not rushing. If you're rushing with the RV life, the RV to get around, it's just not the same experience. The whole purpose is to just go slow. You know, you don't have to be in the fast lane. Stay in the middle or the slow lane and just enjoy the sights and scenes as you're going along. It's not about rushing from place to place. It's about the journey and all, you know, every step of the way going through. And I know for us over time, you get your flow. Like ours is about probably 5, 6 hours of driving that we like to do. He likes to do he's doing mainly the driving and I'm doing all the research. But about 5 or 6 hours, you know, it gets to the afternoon and you want to be starting to think about where you're going to settle down for the night, right? And have a
Yeah.
nice slow introduction to the evening as well. Because we all know those times, if you're rushing, you might end up at a Walmart parking lot. You know, everything is just offset. And then you're not grilling outside, you're eating something in the van, there's no view. And you're like, what have we done? So the more that you can plan at least to stop somewhere, you know, on your phone, you're Googling, using all the apps just so that you can be settled, pull out the awning if it's not too windy, and just pull out your food and start to cook and just enjoy that whole going into the evening experience nice and
Yes.
slowly with the sunset. And then, you know, you end up going to bed earlier too, right? Because you're in nature. It's a different time zone than being in a house with all the lights on and all the electronics going. You settle down with the evening, with nature, with the sun going down. You're actually starting to feel like, okay, it's almost time for us to settle down too now. And then, like you mentioned, the campfires, those are just magical.
Yes.
And do you usually buy firewood or you go around and try to collect what, or it just
No,
depends on the
w-
situation?
we haven't collected. We've usually carry around firewood and then the little starters. So yes, we usually have enough always with us to do, if not every night, a couple of nights wherever we go because we love it. There's something so mesmerizing about fire, about sitting around and just seeing those logs burn. It just you kind of get in a trance by looking at that fire and enjoying the evening. So we
Mhm.
like it a lot. So we do it quite often, and yes, we always try to plan where we're gonna spend the night. And like you, we usually like to leave early so that you know, same 5, 6 hours and get someplace, have enough time to settle down and decide what we're gonna do for dinner, walk around. If we're in a campsite, walk around the campsite and see, you know, who's there. I think the RV community is one that is very welcoming and always, everywhere we've gone, we've always found people willing to help us.
Mhm.
Like in the beginning, when you really don't know how to back up your trailer into your spot without going back and forth 30 times, you know, there were always people that would come to our side and will tell Armando, okay, now crank it all the way to the right, now all the way to the left, you know, so there were always people there willing to help and assist whenever we've needed it. So it's another part of the RV experience that we enjoy a lot, meeting people and how welcoming and helpful they always
Mhm.
are.
Yeah, it's a big resource too. So, you know, there's Google, but there's also just talking to the camper next to you or
Yes.
somebody that walks by and you find out I found out so many apps and so many things from not just from Google, but from having conversations with campers at campsites, usually. I'm trying to think if I ever talked about it anywhere else. No, it's usually at a campsite.
Yes.
That's where everybody's hanging out centered together. So that's where the conversation starts. And yeah, we've even had fire pits and, you know, my husband will be talking to the guy over the bush like, oh, you want to join us? Next thing, you know, just like you guys with the movie and the popcorn, there's another couple bringing everybody's got their camping chairs with them, right? So you just
Yes,
very
we all have
portable.
our
You just
chairs. And we're always looking at what other people have. Oh, look at that grill. Isn't that interesting? Oh, or look at those chairs. Those chairs look so comfortable. So we're always comparing equipment and what we have.
That's so true. Yeah, because with Lily, I had a chair. They had some awesome chairs, and I ended up getting one. And my husband's like, "It's too heavy, and we're not taking it everywhere we go." I'm like, "I want my chair that I got, like Lily had," because they fished for like hours, the boys, and we sat in her chairs, and I was like, "Wow, these chairs are really comfortable." And so then I went right online and got one. He's like, "We don't. It's too heavy. It doesn't fit in my contraption and all that." I'm like, "I want my chair." Yeah, chairs make a difference.
They
So
do.
yeah,
They do. So,
with that.
so yeah, it's been, a godsend to us. It's only been a couple of years since we joined the RV community, but we enjoyed it. We enjoy it so much, and we keep learning. I mean, there's things every day that we read about and learn, and we always also always like to be reading about the national parks. There is a great app that they have. So when we travel, we're always looking at where is the national park. I have my journal with the stamps that you get at the national
Oh,
park.
you're organized. You're organized.
Yes, I am. I'm always looking for those stamps. But also the last thing that I wanted to mention, Vanessa, that has been also very enjoyable for me is journaling, accompanied with a little printer. They sell these little printers that you can print from your phone. They are Bluetooth printers, and they are the size of a cell phone. These little printers, you can find them in Amazon. So I always journaled a little, not every day, but I always, whenever I went on trips or vacations, I always had like to write thoughts. It wasn't a day by day what I did. It was more how I was feeling, what I was enjoying that day. And with RVing, it has been even more enjoyable to do my journaling. And I usually have a picture accompanying whatever I'm writing about that I print, and I stick it to the journal. And looking at those journals later, and it's like, oh, remember when we did this and we did that, and look at that sunset or look at that beach. So I highly recommend for your audience and in enjoying the RV experience to take a moment. It doesn't have to be very long or complicated, but just having a notebook where you write your thoughts of what you enjoyed in that particular trip. It's a lot of fun to read later.
That's beautiful. Yeah, journaling is a huge part of evolving and self-growth. So when you're writing things down, I love to take pictures too. I mean, I have so many photos I'm taking, it's crazy. But that's my memories, and you make slideshows with it and you look back and you're like, it's almost incredible, like an outer body experience. Like we did that, we went there, we were in the Yellowstone. Oh, look, there's a bear behind there. We were in the Rockies with the big horn sheep. You look at those
Yeah.
pictures again and you remember. And I would take a calendar. I'm a big calendar girl, hard copy calendar. So that's kind of like my journal too, because I like to put in the calendar what day I'm at. Even the Harvest Host, well, they keep track of it in the app, which I like. But I think when they
Yes.
did the merger, I lost all kinds of, I have like 2 years of I'm like, I don't see it all now. Some of it's gone away. But in a hard copy calendar, yeah, you can write down the different state parks, the different you went. So you've got that memory too of where were we in March? Like, where did the month go? Too, like, where did it go? And then you look back, oh my gosh, we were here, here, here. We traveled to all those spots. So it's kind of an element of journaling too, keeping track of your past for RVing experience, where you've been and stuff like
Yes.
that. So very,
It's a lot of fun.
very
Yes.
informative. You're just full of knowledge and information and wisdom, which is why I love connecting with people like that. I'm gonna have Lily, you can unmute now because you're still there. And
Hi.
we
Yeah.
yeah, we have a
Yes.
few more
And I'm going to
minutes.
say goodbye, Vanessa, because I have a meeting in about 5 minutes. So
In
I'm
about
going to have
5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Did
Yes.
you have one burning question for Maria before she goes, Lily? Since
No, I'm being here and it's really interesting about all her comments and I'm
uh-huh.
learning too.
We learn as we go. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Maria. I appreciate you. And
Thanks for inviting me. I really enjoyed spending time with you and Russ and hope that we can do it again soon.
absolutely. And we'll see, we'll message you when we're back in Florida. Or if you're camping somewhere else, you never know. Just text us if you're, hey, we're passing through this state. You never know. People connect other places too.
That is so true. Will do. Have a
Okay,
wonderful
dear.
Friday, everyone, and a
Yeah,
blessed
Happy New
weekend.
Year. Happy New
Thank
Thank you.
Year.
You too, Maria.
Take care. Bye-bye.
God
Bye-bye.
bless. Bye.
Oh,
So stop
that's
recording.